Boom. Greetings from YouTubeville. Once again, Danny Savage, Draft Guru. This is my time of the year to shine. This is the Draft Channel. Late April 2025, NFL Draft. Today we're going to do a quick, well, it's not going to be quick, but a recap of day one of practice at the Senior Bowl. Now, listen, I'm going to go more. Listen, it's way too early. First day of practice, these kids have the jitters. I'm not gonna shit on no kids, man. Like, because perfect example, like Riley Leonard, the Notre Dame quarterback, was out there. Bro, he played a game a week ago. Yet you have kids that haven't played a football game since Thanksgiving. And they had, all of December and January to prepare and get healthy. So I'm going to go more, ironically, with people that caught my eye. And like there was a couple of kids, bro, you can't be down on a kid for just one day of practice, especially when they're not going 100%. Ironically, though, every name I'm going to give you, every name other people are going to give you, I covered every single one of them since May the 1st on my channel. And you could look. Like I said, I got a lot of notes here. First kid, safety from Oklahoma, Billy Bowman. I put him out there like in June. He pops off the screen at you. They got him listed 5'10", 190. I'm going to be honest with you, man. He must have been wearing, like, you ever see those videos for the shoes that make you look taller? I think he was wearing those, man. Like I said, he stood out, but I said that about him in June. I just don't think he might wear down, and if he takes a pounding, I'm trying to say, in the NFL. Also, another kid that caught a lot of people's eyes, Upton Stout, safety, Western Kentucky. Nice size, and he also stood out. Like I said, man, it's way too early. I'm not shitting on these kids yet, especially it's first day of practice. Thursday night is the East-West Shrine, and Saturday, I believe, like 2 o'clock-ish, is the Senior Bowl. Another kid I've given you before, and he came in heavier, and he showed up. He had a good day of practice, is Edge, Mike Green out of Marshall. I've given you this kid already. 6'4", 260. So he showed up a little bit bigger than expected, and he was going up against a little bit better talent. And this kid's going to be a first-round draft pick. He will be there. I just find it so ironic, man. All these dudes that, they're all draft experts, but if you ask them in September, they're like, oh, I don't know. I haven't even started looking at people yet. Off week, still the best beard on YouTube. All right. Linebacker, Jeffrey Bassa, Oregon. Let me tell you something. Very athletic, nice size, and he legitimately was all over the field. And he showed good hustle. This is one move that it's racking my brain, and I just don't see it. They had West Virginia's left tackle, bro, he's 6'6", 310, Wyatt Mullins. He hasn't allowed a sack in 3 years. And they had him playing in some guard. Yo, are you really going to nitpick that much over like an inch of short yards? I mean, an inch of a short arm? Really? 3 years, 0 sacks. Just watch Wyatt Mullins, West Virginia, up against Abdul Carter. And they're saying now, how ironic, though, in May, I said Abdul Carter is my number one running back. while other dudes said, no, it's Perkins from LSU, 6 foot, 200 pounds. I'm like, nah, my friend, that's a safety. And ironic, they're going to say this Abdul Carter now is the favorite to go 1 overall in the NFL draft in April. Because let me tell you something, all these 32 managers, coaches, they're looking at Abdul Carter, Micah Parsons 2.0. And I said that when I saw him 3 years ago. Like I said, the Wyatt Mullins take. Listen. It's great to be like versatile and show you can play left guard. But if I'm a team, when I draft him, I'm putting him at left tackle because this is what shows you why dudes mess people up and ruin people. It just shows you, man, you get your foot in the door in the NFL as a scout or a coach, they're there forever. But Wyatt Mullen playing guard just blows my mind. Leave the kid at left tackle. Next kid, big space eater in the middle, showed a lot of hustle. Omar Norman Lott from Tennessee. 3 tech, and he's about 3 Thanksgiving meals for being a 1 tech, in my opinion. Showed a lot of hustle, big. Like I said, I'm going mostly for the people that stood out to me. I'm not shitting on kids. You got to realize kids have prepared. Some kids have prepared 2 months for this. Other kids had a week. You know what I'm trying to say? So you think the kids that had a week are healthy? Come on, bro. Another kid, he's a little bit smaller. Uncensored Cowboy. Thank you for jumping in the chat. Willie Lumpkin, what a name, right? North Carolina. In college, he was a guard. They had him going mostly at center. I'm going back maybe 30 years ago, man. The Pittsburgh, I can't think of his name, maybe 35 years ago. The Pittsburgh Steelers had a short center. He legit was like 5'10", 300. So this kid, Willie Lumpkin from North Carolina, he's like 5'11", 300, wide body. But is he going to get tossed around? Is he going to get beat up like Pinky in the NFL? I mean, it might be a nice story here, but I don't see him getting drafted. I'll invite him to camp. I'll throw him on the practice squad. I don't have a problem there. How ironic. The Cuban Wes Welker, Xavier Restrepo, was breaking ankles out there. Where'd you hear him first? One of my first videos I put out in May was on Xavier Restrepo from the U. That kid broke every single record at Miami. Think about that. I compare him to a Wes Welker. He's not going to break records in a 40-yard dash, but he's quick, he's slippery, and he gets open. 805 Vaughn, yo, what's up? Thank you for jumping in the chat. Another kid, he was in my top 5, which the books don't lie. The book of truths, all of them. Mason Taylor, tight end, LSU, 6'5", 240. Jason Taylor, he played for the Dolphins. That's his son. So Mason Taylor from LSU. It's a sick. This is a sick tight end class, man. Harold Fannin was a little bit nervous, but from Bowling Green, like I said, I'm not going to badmouth kids on day one. I'm not. The Travis Frederick Company, boom. Thank you for jumping in the chat. What's up, Daniel? Want you to know a guy wide receiver will be a junior, I believe. Texas State, Chris Dixon. He went to my hometown and school. He's underrated. I'll write him down. Hold on. What college? Texas? Texas Tech. All right. So yeah, Mason Taylor showed off today from LSU, and he has the size. He has the Texas State Bobcats. All right, I love deep diving. Texas. I might have even covered this kid already because I do a lot of Northern Texas, Texas State, but I'll check twice. Texas State. A couple of weeks ago, I threw a whole load of like North Texas, West Texas, a whole load of kids. Aeneas Peebles, defensive tackle, Virginia Tech. He showed up. He's more of a 3 tech, but he showed, he can hold up against the run and one-on-ones, and he can get upfield. Listen, in my opinion, a lot of these drills in the trenches favor the offensive lineman. So it is what it is, but he showed up too. Another kid, man, that showed up, and I gave you him already. Brashard Smith. He was a wide receiver at the U for 3 years. Then he transferred to SMU. They threw him at running back, and he had over 1,000 yards. And that kid's crazy versatile. He's great size. You don't have to worry about his hands, and he's like a Swiss Army pocket knife. Once again, I gave you him also too. RJ Harvey looked good. He looked like he belonged. It's a sick running back class, sick safety class, sick defensive tackle class. I like the edge class. I love the tight ends. Offensive line, I'm really not on a group as a whole. I'm not really that crazy. Ollie Gordon weighed in at 235. That's good for him because he looked like he was playing at a lighter level. That's last year's Doak Walker Award winner from Oklahoma State, and he had a down year. I don't even think Oklahoma State won a game, man. They were horrible. That's some of my Spanish I throw out there. You like that, right? Joking, I'm a jokester. What about it? This kid, and I told you all year, remember this name because you're going to hear him fly up the boards. Jalen Royals, wide receiver, Utah State. This kid this kid is a missile, and he can fly. And I've said that about him for the last couple of months. He is going to fly up the boards between now and the combine. Here's another kid. They were talking him up a lot, and his name is Clay Webb. Undersized. He's like 6 foot, 300. He was at like Alabama for like, I think 4 years, 5 years, and did absolutely nothing. Transferred down to Jacksonville State. Had some good reps today. I'm not going to lie, but he's had 2 months to prepare for today. What up? What's up, Dog Pound? Thank you for jumping in the chat. I wanted to know your thoughts on Isaiah Bond. That's the wide receiver from Texas. He's, I would say, in my opinion, it comes to a certain spot with wide receivers, and then it like falls off a cliff. I think definitely he's a day 3 guy. Ty Felton, Maryland, Keandre Lambert-Smith, crazy value, day 3. So you can get some sleepers too. Another kid I wrote down, but I gave you him already. Illinois, I think Pat Bryant, his name is, nice size. You can get some decent day 3 wide receivers, but like I said, it's like you have that top tier of Victoria McMillan, Amika Abuka, Luther Burden. Like I said, one might be popping off my head, and then boom. And Xavier Restrepo, it gets to a point wide receiver falls off a cliff in this draft. So, like I said, Clay Webb, they were blowing him up, talking about him left and right. But like I said, he was at Alabama, I believe. I gave you him months ago, but he was there for like 4 years, 5 years. Transferred to Jacksonville State. He got all these honors and stuff like that. He had like one decent rep versus Deontay Walker from Kentucky. Like I said, I'm not gonna make or break 4 years of tape on people for practice. I'm not. And this might sound funny. There are people out there, and there's a saying: you play the way you practice. But there are also kids that are not practice people. They just ain't. But they play on Sundays, man. It's ironic. And some of these kids, when they're that athletically gifted, that happens a lot. Could this be the year we draft an early safety? Well, we need a safety, and the safety class is a monstrous. Like I said, I haven't seen a safety. This safety class is way deeper. It's way deeper than corner. I can tell you that. You can get even good safeties on day 3. You can get one early too. You got Xavier Watts, Notre Dame. Penn State got 2 kids coming out, Winston and Reed. Mukamba, Malachi Starks. I mean, there's a million safeties in this class. Tej Johnson, Oregon. Undersized, speedster. Kind of got a sour taste in my mouth a little bit for what he pulled in the playoffs for national championships. Get hurt in pregame warmups, going in and out of the game. I can understand you wanting to save your body for the NFL. But when you're getting NIL money, that shit goes out the window, bro. And that shows a lot about your character. But then, ironically, Abdul Carter made a business decision against Boise State. He's like, oh, I'm not playing. And they're saying he's probably going to go first overall. So it is what it is. Kyle Williams, Washington State, tall kid. He stood out to me today. Like I said, there's some kids I can rag on. I'm not. I got three pages of notes. Eli Arroyo, Miami. He pretty much, and it's only day 1, bro. He pretty much showed he belongs, and like he made a statement today. Dog Pound, do you think Abdul Carter will be struggle at edge? 100%. 100%. Abdul Carter is Micah Parsons 2.0. And if whoever drafts him, listen, it's crazy because Abdul Carter has the sickest bend in the world. But you can't leave him at edge because these NFL tackles are going to just eat him up. And these tight ends are going to chip him. The running backs are going to chip him. And ironically, this past season, Penn State put him at edge the first 3 games of the season. And he didn't make an impact. Once they moved him back to linebacker, 10 sacks. Micah Parsons 2.0. He is not an edge, or I got no problem him playing linebacker, first down and second down, and third down, being a third down pass rusher, because he's not the tallest. Crazy bend. Ridiculous. Here's a kid I gave you, offensive tackle, Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. Good size, decent, short arms. He's pretty much took every snap at center. We always get those kids from the Dakotas, you know what I'm trying to say? They practice with their stomachs out. Everybody falls in love with them and stuff like that. But like I said, the Senior Bowl practices, the Senior Bowl games, the combine, the films, It's all part of the equation. We have to see if he can stand up to a higher level of talent, but also center, you got to be smart and you can get away with a below average athlete at center. Why, might you ask? Who? Why? Because you got a goon to your left who's 6'5", 350, and you got a goon to your right who's 6'5", 350. Or at least you should have. And if you don't, shame on your coaches for not having guards that big. Jackson Slater, Sacramento State, gave you him months ago too. He showed up too. He played offensive tackle in college. I see him being a guard at the next level in the NFL. The Cowboys champs. What's up, Cowboys champs in the building? Another kid I gave you, man, crazy versatile. Jalen Rivers, the U. He has left guard. He's played left guard and left tackle. Crazy versatile, and he showed. I mean, come on, he played for the U. But like I said, when you can do more than one thing, you are valuable. You are more valuable to the franchise than just looking at somebody and saying, "Oh, that kid is strictly a right side player. He's strictly a right tackle." If this kid right now, he played left tackle and left guard, because this kid, Zion Nelson, that they've been pumping up for the last 5 years, has done absolutely nothing. Who's the best center in the draft? It's not a good draft for centers. One of my favorites I put out, his name is Zeke Corral. Zeke Corral. He spent 5 years at Notre Dame. He caught my eye. You can go back to the tape. 2021 Notre Dame versus Ohio State. They had, at the time, Notre Dame had Jared Patterson, who was, like, I think, a third or fourth round draft pick, but he didn't come out yet. And Jared Patterson got hurt. They slid him into center, and the kid was just pancaking people. He spent 5 years at Notre Dame. Then, because of the C word, he transferred this past year to NC State. Transferred to NC State, just took the center job from whoever was there, and like his pass ranking is like top two. But honestly, centers should not be giving up sacks, man. When you have a center give up like 3-4 sacks, that's a horrible year for a center, as bad as that sounds. Because like I said, you have people to help you. But Jalen Rivers, the U, remember that name. Tackle and left tackle and guard. Anthony Belton, I think they were a little hard on him. Left tackle, NC State, 6'5", 350. I didn't see him lose. I think I saw him lose one snap, and his hands are like vices. He stepped right in for Ike Ekwonu a couple years back, who went to the Carolina Panthers, and I gave you Anthony Belton months ago. But it's weird with him. Like, some people are all over the board. Some people have this kid as a second-round pick. Some people have him as a seventh-round pick. This draft, people, is going to be so crazy because you're going to see so many different grades on people. So, like, who I might have 2, somebody else might have 7. And you're going to be like, what? But I also, ironic, I find it, how, like, you're going to see guys coming out and giving you stats like I'm doing right now. The difference is I gave you every single one of these players starting back in May until now. I gave you everybody already. Like I said, they were blowing up Billy Bowman like crazy from Oklahoma. I said in June, I think he's going to be a little small. I don't think he can hang. I mean, I don't think he's a full-time safety, but I could be showed wrong. He has crazy heart, can cover, and he comes up and he lays people out. But it's ironic. I said that before college, I said that back in June. Cowboys blog in the house. Who is Looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. I don't want to. There's a kid, he's getting a lot of love. Shamar Stewart, Texas A&M. 6'6", 290. I think he had like 2 sacks. Am I going to say he looks like, I mean, that's kind of just, I don't want to put that voodoo on him, you know what I'm trying to say? But he has those traits that all these teams are looking for. And even though he hasn't produced in college, he's going to be a first round pick. And I said the other night, Jason Pierre-Paul, how many years did he play in the NFL? He had like 5, 6 sacks his senior year in college. I think it was UCF or USF. It was a Florida college. And he just showed up with crazy traits, did 10 backwards backflips. Giants take him. Like, Jason Pierre-Paul was like a top 10 pick. And he played how many years in the NFL? So sometimes you can nail the trait button and it'll hit you. A lot of other times it won't. So, Kid Stewart, you could say that, but I don't, and I think he did get injured today. But more than anything, that's just like, practice your limp. He's saving himself. But who else looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane, man? Okay, I'm going to throw another one out there, man. Donovan Edwards, running back out of Michigan. Because I don't know what Donovan Edwards we're going to see. I don't. The kid's like a legit, like 6'1", 240. I said the story the other night. 2023 was the Blake Corum show, and he ran like Zeke, like he had shit in his pants. He ran horrible, but then the college playoffs came, and he, like, you saw this burst out of him. Like, where the hell did this come from? And he was breaking off 60-yard touchdowns. Fast forward to this past fall, Michigan lost 10 starters on offense. He lost his starting job to a kid, Khalil Mullins, who had over 1,000 yards. And Donovan Edwards had like maybe about 500 to 700 with about 6 TDs. But what Donovan Edwards are you going to see? He has a lot to prove this week, and he has a lot to prove at the combine if he wants to go up, especially since it is and I've said this since June, it is a ridiculous running backs class. Junior Tafuna, Utah, big wide body. He stood out. He held his ground. I'm telling you, bro, there's some. Are there going to be like Vita Veas? No. There's no Vita Vea in this draft. There isn't. But there's kids that are solid football players out there that, ironically, a lot of them are going to be day 3, but day 3 is the core of your football team. Another kid I gave you, Baron Sorrell, edge, Texas. And he also has the size to slide inside. He caught my eye before the season started. I gave you him before the season started. He had a good day at camp. He showed he had a great bull rush, but he also showed speed off the end. Josiah Stewart, edge. I gave you another kid, showed good speed off the edge. Michigan. You guys are not going to like that, but bro, you scout the player, not the helmet. Remember, I think everyone would like Aiden Hutchinson on the team. Rashawn Gary. How many good offensive linemen has Michigan put out? Just because unfortunately, our scouts suck, we can't bash every Michigan player from now on. But ironically, Dallas is talking to the wrong tackle. They're talking to Kenneth Grant instead of Mason Graham. Mason Graham has been Michigan's best tackle the last 3 years. So maybe they think Mason Graham just won't be there at 12. I don't think he will be there at 12. But I do see a very good player, sliding to 12. I could also see Dallas trading back. It is a 6 safety class. And my last note is Deone Walker, defensive tackle, Kentucky. 6'6", 360. Listen, man, he's not going to have like a bag of tricks to throw at you. When you're that big, that size, he's just going to look to clog up the middle. But yet, 2023, he had like 8 or 9 sacks. This past season, he had like 4. And I said, in my opinion, he was playing not to get hurt. He was making a business decision. And you can't get on him. You can't get down on him for that, because kids do that every single season. It is what it is. But in my opinion, in the NFL, I'm okay just with him being 6'6", 350. And honestly, he played at Kentucky bigger than that, in my opinion. He'll be dieted down for the combine, but I'm okay with just having a dude that big to clog the middle. Landon Jackson, like I said, I'm not going to shit on somebody. He wasn't that impressive, even though he has the tape and he's 6'7", 290. Bro, it's the first day of practice. And like I said, Riley Leonard looked good. You got everyone's jockeying now. Who's QB3? Who's QB4? Jalen Monroe from Alabama. I think he's a running back. I'm sorry. He's not a quarterback to me. If anybody just wants to look at the national championship game in 2023, dude just closed his eyes and like ran up the wrong hole and got tackled. Or he'd be out in the open field running and just fall down. I think Jackson Dart might go ahead of him. Dylan Gabriel looked good. I gave you Dylan Gabriel, but my fear with him is he's 5'11". So they're just going to look at him, and a lot of teams won't even have him on their board. That's the NFL. I ain't saying that's the right thing, man. I'm not, but NFL loves, 6-foot guys, 6', 230. Like the QB from Indiana, Curtis Rourke. Also, Houston has he's flying under the radar. University of Houston has a quarterback. He's like 6'5", 230. If you just look the traits, like he'll blow you off the board. Emory Jones, pretty LSU. He's strictly a guard. They had him working mostly at guard. I don't think he's a right tackle. Unfortunately, he just got compared to. No, I take that back. Campbell outplayed him ridiculously, and another kid there, one of their other guards showed up. I just can't think, and I put him out just the other day too. It's just like I legit have like 800 names going around my head right now at every single moment. Like I said, could I have 3 more pages of notes talking about plays that didn't show me much? Yeah, but I'm not, because I'm not going to let one day of film judge you. If you ain't done nothing in 5 years, but yet you show up this week and you have a good week, okay, where were you the last 5 years? What's going to happen when you get that bag? So listen, man, it's the formula. Game tape and you look at the East West Shrine practices, Senior Bowl practices, my opinion, combine is just for medical purposes. Because I can tell you names of players that statistically had the worst combine ever. And they turned into all pro players. Anybody have any other questions? Like I said, it's a crazy safety draft, crazy safety draft, crazy tight end. Uh, I think the edge is deep. I think defensive tackles deep. Running back ridiculous. Wide receivers are good to a point, then it falls off a cliff, man. Uh, there's a legit 10 good safeties. You got Prather out of Maryland. You got Rod Moore out of Michigan. You got Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame. Lathan Ransom, Ohio State, like I said. Mukumba, Texas. Malachi Moore, the Pennsylvania kids. Jaden Winston. You got Reed. You got Sebastian Castro out of Iowa. You got the kid Billy Bowman, which I gave you in June. And Iowa even has another kid with a crazy name that I can't even pronounce. Nwanka, which I gave you. Iowa has two good safeties in this draft. It's definitely a better safety than corner. In my opinion, yeah, I really don't think it's a great corner class at all. So, any more questions? People should also realize drafts aren't always day one starters. No, of course not. You know, it takes people time. And also, too, sometimes we see people, they just go to the wrong organization, they get ruined, or they play them at a wrong position. And then once they get free and go to another school, excuse me, another organization. Oh, where'd that come from? Perfect. Like to compare it to is Mekhi Becton out of Louisville. He was like I think he went number 11 overall to the Jets a few years ago. 6'7", 380. I said like 3-4 years ago, this kid ain't a tackle. He's not a left tackle. Had injury issues, dislocated his kneecap. He didn't want to get it operated on. He didn't. Out of the last probably 4 years, he was with the Jets. He played maybe 2 years. Jets did not pick up his 50-year option, so he became a free agent. Nobody touched him. Philadelphia Eagles threw $5 million at him, and they plugged him in the right guard, and you had 6'7", 380, just mauling people. To the older Dallas fans, I would compare that to Leonard Davis, who was a bust, who went to the University of Texas, who was a bust at left tackle. I forgot which team originally drafted Leonard Davis. Like I said, we're going back. But then when he went to Dallas, Dallas threw him inside to right guard. You have a big mauler in a phone booth. Then he went from a failure to going to Pro Bowls. Another guy, and I know this is a little bit extreme because they hyped him up so much, was Tony Mandarich. He went, I think, number 2 overall to the Green Bay Packers. Was he juiced up? Yeah. Was everybody else juiced up? Yeah. Had addiction problems, was out of the league for like 2 years. And people like to call him like the number one bust of all time, and I can dispute that because he came back and played. People don't remember he came back and played like 5 years right guard for the Colts with Peyton Manning and Marshall Faulk, and he was a big ass monster in a phone booth. He didn't have the feet work, and he didn't have all the chemicals running in his system. But I disagree when people say he was the biggest draft bust ever. I think Jamarcus Russell did less. I can go down the list. Uh, Ryan Leaf did less, but it just shows you how. Listen, he was overhyped. I get it, but I'm not going to say it's not fair to say he's the biggest bust ever. Nah. I mean, the dude would go into the Porta John and he'd be shooting up. He would have a bottle. It was called Nubane. It's still around. It's a painkiller. And he would keep the bottle of Nubane and a syringe in his jockstrap. During practice, he would go say, I'm going to the bathroom, and then he's pounding a needle on his vein. It's hard enough to pass block in the NFL when you're straight. Pitcher trying to pass block or pitcher trying to practice when he's IVing himself with painkillers, so he had an issue with that. But he made amends and he played a good 5 years with the Colts, hurt his shoulder, didn't want to have to go to another surgery where painkillers were going to be involved, and he retired. So, day one recap of the Senior Bowl. Tomorrow, I have, like I said, I think I'm at 630 prospects. Tomorrow, I'll be watching all Senior Bowl practices, and I'll probably throw out another 10 prospects because I just want to get to 800 and then just start. I got to wait to the combine, though, too. But by then, listen, I know who my 10s are at every position, but I'm giving you 30 at every single position. What do you think of Roger Goodell? I think Roger Goodell sucks. I think Roger Goodell thinks he's Jesus. You know what I'm trying to say? Roger Goodell, he hasn't worked. He's never worked a single day in his life. Yet the NFL pays him like $60 million a year. And ironically, one of the only people who spoke out against him, and ironically, that's why we get so many penalties, was Jerry Jones. Roger Goodell thinks he's God with these kids, the way he plays with them. Oh, sit back. You get a half a season, you get one game, you get this, you get that. You ever find it ironic? You never, ever, ever see a quarterback getting popped for PEDs. Even though there's a Hall of Famer, he got HGH shipped to his house under his wife's name, but they kept that quiet because he has a name. He had another brother. I ain't going to say their names, but they both won Super Bowls. And one of the grandkids he's going to be good in 2026. Listen, I encourage cheating. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Who do you... Okay, we got Roger Goodell. Remember Steve Ettman? He did have bad shoulders, but I also remember Steve Ettman blowing out his knees like immediately in the NFL. But he definitely was overhyped. He was all juiced out too, without a doubt. He liked cranberry juice, is what I'm saying. Perfect example. I'm gonna say like I'm an old timer, bro. I talk about Lyle Alzado deserves to be in Canton, bro. He gets a black label put over him because he admitted to taking steroids. Steroids were legal at the time. Do you honestly think everybody else was doing them? Look at the Pittsburgh Steelers on their 4 Super Bowl winning teams. Look at their offensive linemen. They were pretty jacked. Look at the Hogs. I'll even say, if you look at the Great Wall, some of the guys' body composition changed. Like I said, I encourage cheating. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Ettman was a bust, though. Danny White equals Dak I'm going to be honest with you. I think Danny White was a better quarterback, is a better quarterback. Danny White went to 3 straight NFC championship games, and he gets called a bum. And he was also a punter, too. He just was unfortunate. He had to follow Mr. America, Roger Staubach, who came into the league at 27 because he had a 5-year Navy commitment. Where if Roger Staubach comes into the NFL at 22, that's another Dallas Super. That's another lost ring we have. But now, if Dak went to one NFC championship game, people, our fan base, the Dakaroonies, would call him, they would say Dak's Hall of Famer. Bro, stop it. He's not. Dallas fan, 1977. Besides his mental issues, what was wrong with Quincy Carter? He was just a bad draft pick by Jerry Jones. Look at Dallas's report, Calvin Watkins. Bro, he was a second-round draft pick at Mississippi State. Did absolutely nothing. Jerry Jones just thought, like, I can rap. After Jimmy Johnson left, he drafted Larry Allen, Greg Ellis, Flozell Adams, and Greg Ellis, Flozell Adams was in one draft. Ellis went 1, Flozell Adams went round 2. Quincy Carter was just another one of Jerry's million bad draft picks that just didn't show up. He was a running quarterback, and Jerry thought he was going to turn him into Randall Cunningham. Back then, I guess, you were ostracized if you smoked a joint. But it's okay to give you a million pills, and now, marijuana is legal pretty much everywhere, tests for the NFL. But regardless, Quincy Carter just didn't have the arm, and he was just Kavika Pittman. Anybody remember him? Shante Carver. Anybody remember him? Ebenezer Ekuban. Anybody remember him? These are all first-round edges that Jerry busted on. That we went through like a decade where Jerry was trying to draft edges and tight ends to replace Charles Haley and Jay Novacek, and we never did until Winton came. Who else? Let's see. Danny White was better than Romo and Dak. Yeah. I Cowboys blog, I agree with you 100%. I said this. If Tony Romo gets put in the Hall of Fame, I will stop watching the NFL. And then I'll just stick 110% into college football. There's so many older warriors out there that deserve to be in Canton, and they're not, because all they worry about is this young Swifty crowd. There's only been one first ballot Hall of Fame center ever, George Otto, or I think it was Jim Otto, played for the Raiders, went to the University in Miami. He played so hard, bro. He was in a wheelchair. He had to get not one, but both of his legs amputated. That's how many surgeries he had on his knee. And not just saying this because I dislike Philly. Do I think Kelsey is a Pro Bowler? I mean, a Hall of Famer? Yeah. Are you going to put him in the same sentence as Otto? Not even close. Not even close. I'll say the Charles Bentley, another O-line guru. See who remembers that. He got staph infections in his knees, man. It was a period of like 5 years that Cleveland Browns staff was running rampant. It affected Joe Jurevicius. It ended with Charles Bentley's career, and he has a school for offensive linemen, kind of like the other guy in Texas. Let's see. That's what I'm saying. Why is it Harvey Martin in the Hall of Fame, or at least in the Ring of Honor? because it's a joke. It is a joke. I could have swore I read Harvey Martin had 27 sacks and also co-MVP in the Super Bowl. It's a joke why Harvey Martin's not in. It's a joke Darren Woodson's not in. It's a joke Eric Williams is not in. It's a joke. I'll put Nate in there. If you also took Mark Tuinei's story now in the age of social media, an undrafted free agent defensive tackle who spent 5 years on your team as a defensive tackle, and then you switch him over to left tackle and he blocks for Troy for a decade, and you could watch the 3 Super Bowls he played in. He had no help. He was on the outside by himself. If the Mark Tuinei story happened today, Mark Tuinei would be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm not just Mongo McMichael. When it takes a guy like him 35 years to get into the NFL Hall of Fame, that's a joke, bro. Joe Klecko, all pro at 3 different positions along the D line. He waited 35 years. But yet, Aaron Donald, everyone says is generational. And Aaron Donald is going to go in as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Check Aaron Donald's sacks compared to Steve McMichael's sacks. And Steve McMichael had to wait 35 years, and he has ALS, and he can't even move. And if you look down, it's a real ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. It's just a very sad story. I think Sean. Listen, I say it like it is, man. I'm a fan of the game. Sean Taylor should be in the Super Bowl. Should be in Canton. You think it's his fault he got shot, bro? Sean Taylor, as a safety, covered Randy Moss and would lay people out. You're gonna tell me he doesn't play 3-4 more seasons? He's not in Canton. As much as I hate him, Jerome Brown, crazy nasty in college at the U. He was crazy. He was legit at Philadelphia. There was the 1 year Randall Cunningham blew out his knee. Philadelphia Eagles went 10-6 on defense. Jim McMahon, they had an old Jim McMahon. This is like 91, 92. Cunningham got hurt. They went 10-6 with a straight defense. And then Jerome Brown died in a car crash. But yet we can put Terrell Davis in the Canton. But yet he only played 6 years. Listen, man. Chuck Howley had to wait till he was in his 80s when they knocked on his door to tell him, yeah, you're going into the Hall of Fame. And it's truly sad. Like, he didn't even know what was going on. And his 2 sons had to come and get his award. He didn't even show up at the Hall of Fame. Chuck Howley was the only MVP in the Super Bowl from a losing team. He was a linebacker, Dallas from the Colts. And he also had his Pro Bowl, All-Pro linebacker. It's just a joke, man. NFL is soft now. I agree with you. It is. Thoughts on Mike Fisher? I say the truth, even when I lie. He's not going to tell you. He ain't going to tell you like it is, man. He's never going to badmouth the organization. He's never going to badmouth Jerry. It's amazing how some people can make careers out of just being leeches. You know, what do I think of? Well, that I just gave you, what I thought of him. Do I think he knows anything about the draft process? No. Do I think he knows anything about football? No. He just, when he's at where he's at, and he's begging people to pay like $2 a month to be a Fish member. bro, you're a suck job, bro. Like, come on, bro. So it is what it is, man. But I say it like it is. Same with Bullet Bob Hayes. Yeah, it took Bullet Bob Hayes way too long. That's still funny, Mike Fisher. I mean, he comes up, you got Charles Haley wanted to kill him one day. I think Eric Williams came to his defense, but Haley was ready to just kill him. Same with Bull Bob. He lied about Zeke's injury in 2-1, said it was a bruise, but it was a PCL tear. Yeah, like I said, he's not going to tell you the truth, man, because his life revolves around the Dallas Cowboys and reporting on the Dallas Cowboys. I'm honestly glad my channel is a draft channel because there's a million colleges out there and I have content for days. I never thought this video would go this long, and I apologize. But just wrapping up day one, Senior Bowl. Some kids had some bad days, but I ain't gonna throw them out there and shit on them. I'm not. But it's ironic. Every name I shout out to you guys, ironically, I put all those names out starting in March. The call-in shows, ask them a draft question in August, September. They freeze. They'll be like, what do you mean? We're talking about training camp. Well, what are you talking about? I haven't started looking yet. I can tell who watches college football and don't watch college football. Tomorrow, I'll be wrapping up day 2 at the Senior Bowl and be dropping another 10 prospects on our way to 800, because we all know when you're rocking with the GWO, it's for life, over and out, everybody. See you mañana. You like my Spanish. I know enough to get slapped.